Kayla and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, it's coming about a week late, which is okay, but we're gonna be talking about some changes I'm making to my habits and routines for June. So this video was supposed to go up last Monday, but I did take a week off from making content to use my space and my platform and my voice to uplift Black voices and talk about Black Lives Matter and resources and places you can donate and all sorts of things. I dedicated my social media to that last week. And so I'm now back to starting to make some of my normal content, but that content isn't going away. I'm going to continue sharing and uplifting Black voices. I'm going to continue updating the blog post that has resources, articles, books, places to donate, podcasts, videos. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into that. Blog post I haven't updated in a few days, but I've still been collecting things to add to it, so check back soon. It should be updated very, very soon, but I wanted to get this content up as well. So, we're going to talk about the changes I'm making to my daily routines in June. So if you head over to the Lifestyle podcast today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about habit and routine and what some of my habits and routines are and why I'm making these changes and why things are important. But I wanted to share with you what those are. So the biggest thing I want to change for June is getting back on a stricter, more rigorous schedule. We have entered phase 2 in my county of Washington's reopening plan, which basically means like gatherings in groups of 5, restaurants are at like 50% capacity, stores are at like 25% capacity. Like we're starting to reopen, so I'll be returning to work eventually, probably not during phase 2, but I will be going back to my normal work schedule fairly soon. So I want to make sure I'm getting really stuck in with my routine so that the change from going from working from home to going back to work isn't going to be too jarring. So I'm trying to be a little more strict on my schedule. And part of that is getting exercise back into my routine. Now, when I planned this video for last week, I had planned to keep it 100% my morning routine, but I also kind of realized with working from home still, my mind and my body are just still in a weird space, that sometimes the workout needs to happen in the afternoon, but the like big thing for me is getting back into a workout routine because I miss it, I need it. And so it's important to get back in routine. Like today, I didn't work out this morning. I'm gonna work out this afternoon after I film this video, actually. So it's just important to me to get that back into my routine. Along with that is doing better with my meal planning and pre-tracking, because again, when I go back to work in person, I'm gonna be packing my lunches and pre-tracking my lunches. So I'm trying to get rid of that. I haven't, honestly, these past 2 weeks, I have not been great at that. That's something I need to really focus on, because that's probably gonna be the hardest thing about going back to work, is the having to like really plan out my meals, so that I'm packing lunches. So I gotta work on that one. It's been a hot minute since I've had to do that, so I'm working on that. And those last 2 are just so important to me because I'm really proud of where I'm at in my fitness journey right now. If you guys may have seen on the blog and Instagram 2 weeks ago, I have lost 50 pounds, and that's something I'm super proud of, and I want to continue that movement. I put on this shirt from this video, and it's like huge on me. That makes me really happy. But I want to continue that momentum that I have going, and so a lot of that has to do with making sure my diet and exercise are still staying on point. That's what 2 and 3 were about. The 4th thing has to do with StyledByKaylaXO, so my YouTube channel, my website, my Instagram, my podcast, and how I'm working on content. I decided to switch to, for this month, a 2x2x2 content schedule. Now today it's kind of different for that, but the goal of that was to put 2 pieces of content up on YouTube, on the blog, and in the podcast every week. And the goal originally was for that to all be unique content, and it still is. Like today, the podcast kind of ties in with this video, but not entirely. They could have stood on their own. But it's just so I can get more unique content out there, try new things, because I am always trying new things. And it keeps me on a more realistic schedule. I was finding that when I needed all 3 platforms to line up, I was a lot more stressed with making that content, which you'd think it would be easier because I'm just reusing, I'm recycling the content through each of the platforms, but I would get like really overwhelmed by like, okay, now wait, did I mention that in all 3? And is that something I just want here? So by having different themes and topics on each of the platforms, I think that's gonna help me feel more motivated to make more content. So that's number 4. And number 5 is more learning daily. Because it's something I value. One of my core values is to seek new knowledge every day. And so I want to get better at making sure I schedule that time in, whether that's taking a class, reading a book, watching a documentary, watching just a video on YouTube. I want to make sure I'm scheduling that time in, because again, when I go back to it's not 9 to 5, I work at 10 to 6, but my in-person job, I have that commute on either side, my time gets a little more tight, and so I want to make sure that I'm scheduling that time in to learn. A lot of the things I'm working on learning about right now, last week I spent a lot of time just diving into the topic of anti-racism and different strategies to combat racism within ourselves, within our families, within our communities. And I have a whole stack of books. Actually, most of them are ebooks because everyone is buying books on anti-racism right now, which is great. But I like physical books, and so when I got on to order, and I was like, no, I have to buy an ebook. It broke my heart for like 2 seconds, and I was like, get over it, Kayla, read an ebook. So that's one thing. I've been diving a lot deeper into my tarot practice and research and study on that. As always, self-development, personal development is, big in my heart. So always focusing on that. I'm still taking the 4 Tendencies course. And then I'm looking into more things about like content creation and ways I can make YouTube better, and the podcast and the website and things like that. So that's something I'm trying to focus on more, is getting that learning back into my day and really scheduled in. So those are the 5 things that I am primarily focusing on in the month of June, trying to get back on track. Obviously, taking last week off is kind of counterintuitive to some of these things, but that was important, and so I'm not beating myself up about that, because I was doing something good. Like, it wasn't like I just took the week off and didn't do anything. I was educating myself, and I was educating others, and I was doing the work and the research. I was uplifting other people's voices, specifically Black creators, and I want to continue to do that, obviously, but I also want to come back to making some of my own content because I missed it. And honestly, it's been really beneficial to my mental health to have all these Styled by Kayla platforms back, especially during quarantine. So that's why I'm back making content, but I just wanted to acknowledge that like last week was not living up to all of these. My exercise was still there, and my learning was still there, obviously, but like content wise, I didn't live up to this last week, but that's okay, because what I was doing was more important. So those are the 5 changes I'm making in June. I'll kind of keep you guys updated with them in other videos and posts throughout the month and into July. And if I decide to make any more changes for July, who knows what this summer is going to look like. But I just wanted to let you guys know where I'm at and let you guys hear kind of what I'm up to. So if you are making any major changes in your life for June as you start to prepare to like go back to whatever post-quarantine looks like for you, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Head over to the Lifestyle Podcast to listen to the episode all about habits and routine, where I'll talk a little bit more about these, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!